Nice.
So, as we get started, now that we are live on the broadcast and commentary is up, let me introduce it. So, I'm Pilot.
I'm Issa.
And I'm Zom.
And we will be starting your day off with our Blue Division for fall at Red October 2024 out here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
So, Issa, have you played these lowers for full?
Yeah, I play lowers like once or maybe twice.
Gotta get the scores.
Lowers are pretty straightforward, so.
Yeah.
And then you make sure you play it on 1.3x if you want to play it more times. Get it out of the way.
I see we have a very different approach to lowers across this commentary desk.
I think my strategy is to always change the song speed so that it's exactly or like close to 200 beats per minute because that's just like my comfortable quarter note speed.
The wonderful thing is you can play the game in any which manner you find suitable.
You can. That's the beauty of Stepmaniacs. We got so many options here.
Well, as Peter here is warming up with Robot World, it looks like, I'm going to quickly cover what we have in the card draw here. So we have Base in the Melody, full 14, Moonstone, level 15, Far Out 15, Monody 16, Hyper 17.
Ooh, Hyper.
Hyper's full 17, to the best of my recollection, is not that intense. I believe it has a couple of tricky cross-pad patterns, but it's fairly straightforward. Lighter on the syncopation, unlike some of its other cousins for the chart.
Right.
Even on 17, the lowers are pretty straightforward. Not that many 16th notes or anything.
Yeah, I think most of the thing that the players will be focusing on is just like getting the pad transitions, getting sure to like get over from one part of the pad to the other part without missing any notes, and just like tightening up that timing, making sure they don't get too many yellow perfects on their way from one side to the other.
Yeah, and I know that some of the players in the first bracket have played hardly any full ever. So
Really?
it's okay. You can do that and start out at the lowers. They're
Yeah.
not. You can, as long as you can play singles, you can get by on lowers pretty okay.
That's true. We are aware. Yes, the names on the stream are incorrect at the moment. We're working on fixing them.
Production is on it.
They know. They're aware.
Reliable and rock steady as always.
But we have Ditz on player 2 and Peter on... Well, I guess it's not player 2. It's the right side. Ditz on the right side, Peter on the left side. It looks like we're going to be going into... Do they get one song warm-up or two song warm-up?
So far, the trend appears to be one song warm-up.
Based on the Melody is one of the songs, so
Right. Yep.
Wait,
looks
on.
like they're going right
Peter
into it.
is tapping
into
to reset, so not right yet.
Oh, because they're trying to start at the same time-ish, I think.
Yeah, I think
So.
that's the goal. We would like to start simultaneously.
Now, I do believe an interesting little addition here is we have a two false starts. Can we go for the hat trick? 3?
Let's go.
We have in attendance at our event this year is Aubie Desktop Man, a professor from a Norwegian university
Oh,
who has worked on a number of community tools for Stepmaniacs, including the Score Browser website, which I think is one of the best additions, and
Alright, they're
also has
starting.
worked on an screen recognition program, and I believe we are going to see synchronized game feeds here.
Nice.
Yes,
Yes.
you can
Oh,
see
beautiful.
there's a brief stutter to line it up. The cameras might be slightly off, but we will get live synchronization on the game. So
That's crazy.
we are seeing some exciting tech for the broadcasting fraternity.
Yay, computer
organization
geniuses.
front here.
That's amazing. But all right, into the gameplay. As we said, it's a 14. 14s are going to be fairly straightforward, mostly quarter notes, maybe a couple of eighth notes in there. But Based in the Melody does go pretty fast for, all things considered for lower full.
Yeah, even
songs.
with Peter picking up a couple of misses from improperly executed transition, it's still very close.
Yeah,
in
Dit's
score.
got like
Holy crap,
one or
that's
two
close.
greats, so the scores are still very close.
Yeah, greats are about 7-ish yellow perfects.
You can see there's
whereas
the
miss is about 10.
full side-to-side sweep there. So some of these lower full charts can still test the skills necessary for the harder content, which you will see later today. But keeping a very exciting game coming into the last quarter of the chart. Peter is ahead by a 1,000-point margin, which I would say is comfortable in most contexts, but on lower charts where each individual note's weighted a little more, it's pretty close.
Ooh! Oh, that
Wow,
miss.
the dropped
That miss
hold.
did it. Oh.
He dropped that hold for too long.
Yeah, so a thing that's unique to Step Maniacs that's different than, for example, DDR, is if you miss the beginning of a hold, you can rescue it and get your foot on. And
Similar to
start-
Pump It Up. Pump It Up, you got to
Right,
press
yeah.
the hold the whole time.
Yeah.
The
You can't
SMX
be-
is more forgiving on the holds.
Yeah, you could do a little bit of ghost stepping.
But yes, as
on the
each
holds.
individual segment of the hold note counts for score and can be triggered independent of one another,
Right.
you get a lot of points for holding down a freeze the whole way. So that's
Yeah,
almost a
it's-
2,000-point swing from dropping that last hold note.
I mean, especially on these lower charts where there's not a whole lot of notes. I think there was about like 150-ish, maybe 200 notes in that song.
But they're not only against each other, because
Right.
it's everyone in the pool plays the same set.
Right. The same 5 songs.
So you always just want to try to do your very absolute best.
Yeah.
Not even worry about what the other person playing is, because you're playing against more than them.
Yeah, for each of our color-coded pools for our gauntlet format, the top 2 performers overall advance.
All right, getting into Moonstone. I know that the harder chart for this had a little bit more stretching going on, or like interesting patterns.
It has, like, basically shock arrows.
Yeah.
I mean, I know shock arrows is like all of them at once, but if it's just like it's forcing you off the arrow, I just call it a shock arrow.
Right.
That's a 16th.
Yeah. So
But this is a very slow BPM song.
very, very.
So
slow.
are they 16?
There, you can kind of think of those as like 8 notes at 200.
Being very prescriptive, yes, they are 16ths. Even a little cheeky lift or two at the end of those freezes. Hold
That's
notes.
not something you see in very many of the lower difficulty charts. So it's good that our players are aware of that tech. A lot of people, just starting out in the game, who haven't done a whole bunch of the upper charts, lifts really throw them off.
Even I struggle with lifts. Lifts are hard.
They really are. Yeah, it's just like you gotta train.
Oh, we had a
your
missed
brain.
lift.
Yep, you gotta train your brain.
Oh,
to
another
completely
missed lift.
new-
Missing lift is not that many points off, though.
Right. I think it's about
Uh-oh.
the same as getting.
3 of them, though, is stacking up. Ditz might be losing this one, it looks like.
Do you know if anybody's calculated how many points they are? I think they're. If I were to guess, I'd say they're about the same as getting a grade, but not
I do
sure.
not recall.
Wow,
offhand.
Peter's score was very solid.
I definitely think a missed lift, at least in a more dense chart, would usually be equivalent to about 2 or 3 perfects.
And he's got to take the picture, because, yeah, he did good.
that's
That's a
stuff.
score to be proud of.
Very nice. Good scores all around.
It's always exciting to actually play good in a tournament.
Yeah. Some people get that tournament buff. Some people get the tournament nerves, and then they're like, "Oh no, I'm doing terrible on songs that I should be doing good on." He's so close. He found it. There it is.
This is one of my favorite songs.
A new Tokyo Machine classic. It almost sounds like a Splatoon song. It's just like all over the place. Boing, 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 boing. Ooh, nice. Yeah, if I remember correctly, this chart is fairly straightforward, but it does have a little bit of like movement. Like kind of gets you back and forth.
Yeah, and and the stop isn't too hard on this since you have a lot of room in between.
Yeah, a little bit of synchronization there. You're now seeing 16th, not as like part of a triple set, but a broken up.
Oh, Peter having some problems.
Yeah, it seems jumps are really the things that get Peter.
Yeah, if you're not used to it, you can really get lost on the full pad, especially on the jumps.
When you're like, I have to press 2 buttons at once, and they, even if they're like right next to each other, like on the screen, they may be so far away, physically.
And this is holding on, got a 2,000 point lead coming up to that second stop in the song. So, going well so far, holding on to that yellow perfect combo. Yeah, commentator's curse.
Yeah, you did.
Get it out of my system now.
And now it's really close. Look at those scores. Ooh, did Peter pull ahead? Damn,
Wow, how did he pull back ahead after that
The 5
curse?
misses.
After the curse.
Well, it looks like Peter had a very clean ending there. It looks like you can see that last quarter or so of the graph is almost looks like completely white perfects at the end there. Ditz had just a couple more further out ones. Especially you can notice, you can see on the graph that the yellow dots, the further out they are, that typically translates to less score.
Right.
And so Ditz was consistently picking up early perfects and perfects that were variable out from there. So some of those are probably the biggest contributors for a point loss. But we're going into...
But yeah,
Monday.
never give up. Peter coming back with a decent score still.
It's not over till you hit the results screen.
Yep. Oh, nice. Look at that sync.
Yeah, the slowdown is not too bad because it's very on sync.
It's only a brief moment in which you are reading at that speed before it kicks into the proper BPM of the song.
But
notice
I
it's-
love rhythms, so I love the other difficulties of this song.
Yeah, it's fun. Now I notice I think the slowdown for this one is not exactly half speed. It's like,
Uh-oh. Peter getting some misses again.
yeah, but it's those jumps are really getting them.
But his timing is so good with the perfects.
I think both the players kind of tend a little bit early, so if they can just like catch that and start slowing down just a little tiny bit, get more towards the, if you bring your entire graph up a little bit, then you'll get more white perfects in general. Yeah, this 16 I think is fairly straightforward. I don't remember anything.
Another miss for Peter.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah, I mean, at this difficulty level, that's really what it's about. It's like figuring out where you are on the pad, trying to get over to where they want you to be, and just holding that timing tight.
Okay, Ditz had a very strong score that time.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. 98. That's
Yeah,
a
what
great
I'm
score.
Seeing here from Peter's performance is his timing is very good. You can see the low yellow perfect count. But usually whenever he picks up a miss, it is off of a pad transition that's not like a center panel anchored one.
Right.
One where you're just going across the left and right arrows between the two pads. Or if there's a jump, which that's really, familiarity
Right.
is the problem there, in a sense. If you play more doubles and you get more familiar with where everything is and knowing your positioning, that would dry up in due time. So I'm certain with a little more experience, Peter would be a very strong contender on doubles.
But yeah, according to my info sheet, Ditz says this is his first tournament he's ever gone to.
Oh, nice.
I think rolling up and getting a 99 on a doubles chart in your first tournament is a commendable achievement. So
Oh, yeah. That is solid. Yeah, the upbeats, that's what's the kind of the special thing about this chart, at least in the beginning, and I think possibly later, there's just a lot of like blue notes. So if you have that technique down, it's kind of like, it's basically the same
And this
timing
is
as quarter notes.
appreciably streaming in comparison to everything else we've seen so far. It's a
Yeah,
long,
definitely.
unbroken eighth note stream. Both players handle that very well.
Yep. Peter just getting a early,
Just pick
right
up
at the
some
very end.
change, if you will, at the very end. Ditz had it yellow comboed all the way through.
Very
impressive.
clean, very clean.
You can see the focus.
Yep, here's more upbeat eighth notes. They're locked in. Look at those faces. Yeah, this one is more of like a kind of a stamina, as far as 17s go, more stamina focused than like trying to transition, do crazy transitions across the pad.
Both players nail those pad transitions
Yeah.
into the outro, which are appreciably difficult for this difficulty range.
Yeah, I think this is actually, even though it's technically harder, it's like more in the wheelhouse for these players. Because it's...
Yeah, some of their best scores.
Look at those scores!
Yeah, Peter's precision
98.
really paying off there, despite the two very far out of bounds off judgments. That 11 yellow perfect combo versus Ditz's 30.
11 yellows? That's crazy! That's a great score!
Yeah.
Now,
From
Peter's
like
got
a
some
new player? Dang.
excellent precision.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm
I
looking
hope,
forward to seeing more of Peter.
I do hope we get to see more Peter.
Team Norway gets to go together.
Nice.
Aww.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first time you play on a new machine, you have to scan in. Even if you have scanned in before and you have a pin, every new machine gotta scan in. It's gotta remember your username. Gotta be in the set of players.
But I met these guys last night at Red Note after they came in and had been awake for 30 or so hours coming from Norway. So we've got Xander and Jacob, aka Dog Fetus and Joko.
Dog fetus.
And they've only been playing this game for like a year.
That's
So
well,
yes,
all right. We'll have to see
coming
how
out
they're doing.
From Norway, the University of Ogden has a campus arcade with a Step Maniacs cabinet, and Desktop Man, also participating in this event, helps facilitate and also does the underlying tech, like the screen synchronization you're seeing so far.
Nice.
But
So-
this is their first time coming to the U.S. Well, for
That's-
the kids at least. I don't know about for Desktop Man.
Right. Well, good luck to them. They're doing their warm-up songs right now, playing some of the newer stuff. Well, I guess Do It Like That is... When did that come out? I want to say earlier this
I think
year?
early 2024, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Do It Like That may have potentially been the drop in proximity to last year's Red October.
Oh, yes, that could be true.
Trying to remember.
I'm gonna guess...
Yeah, I think Do It Like That came out last October.
I'm gonna guess January. That's my guess. Are you looking it up?
I'll look it up. I only say that because I have a recollection of this being closely associated with Keep On Dancing chronologically, which I
Yes.
actively recall dropping at last year's Red October. So let's find out while these players finish up their warm-ups.
Yeah. It's interesting that Need You has that slowdown at the end, but I don't think any charts actually have any notes during that slowdown. I think it's just a hold note on every chart.
But
It's decorative.
But these guys were very excited to see all the other games at Red Note last night. And
yeah.
I got them to try Pump It Up and DDR for the first times ever.
Oh, do they not have that? out
Yeah,
there?
I guess not. They just have the SMX there.
Interesting.
SMX is the most widely available one now throughout the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, I think
If you
that's
can
what
buy it and pay for shipping, it is yours.
that's what Kyle Ward said. I think it's the most publicly available dance game worldwide.
And yes, before we start, I can confirm, Do It Like That was the October 2023 drop.
Yeah. I remembered playing it with people.
All right, getting
times.
into bass and the melody. As we said, this is a fairly straightforward chart. Ooh, both players playing with the maximum beat bars. Jocko already picking up a miss. Hopefully just finding his footing.
Even in spite of that miss, Joko is holding on to a slight lead coming into that first stop.
Yep. Fairly straightforward 16th or 8 what are they called? Quarter notes. Just transitioning across the pads back and forth.
Both players seem very comfortable executing those cross-pad transitions.
Really doing the
Very nice back and forth from both players.
yeah, I think Joko's doing the crossovers, whereas Dog Fetus is just kind of double stepping all the way across. But as long as you get it, you know, your technique is valid.
Whatever method helps you time best. That is what you ought to do in a tournament setting, in my opinion. Alright, coming up on the end now. Very closely matched in scores.
Yeah, they're both really keeping on this one. Pretty
Nice.
good scores.
Yeah, just about 1,000 apart. Nice full combo from Dog Fetus.
Pretty good, pretty good. Dog Fetus shaking his head. He's like, oh,
I do not remember exactly how the first set scores went.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, you're rarely going to be getting your best scores in tournament. You know, it's probably a new pad. You got to get used to the setting, the sensitivity and stuff. But
Alright, back to Moonstone.
Moonstone with its 16ths. You can see the players doing ghost steps to try and keep their timing on this relatively slow song. Sometimes ghost steps throw me off when I'm playing lowers because I'll like do too many steps and then I'll be on the wrong foot. What is y'all's experience with ghost stepping?
I like it. It's
You don't ghost step at all?
no.
Or you do
I
like
do.
it?
I like it. I like to go step.
Do you
I
go-
don't do it very much at all.
Oh, you just
Yeah.
internalize the timing?
See,
Yeah.
we believe both players here are stepping on the eighth rather than the quarter to keep time, which I think many players who are used to playing more dense content will stick with eighths to continue.
Uh-oh. Those lifts giving some problems again.
Yep, the lifts. I mean, especially if you're trying
Alright,
to...
so both of them are missing some lifts.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
trying to
I
do
thought
like...
the first set pretty consistent. The second set had more yellow exclamation points, if you will.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to do ghost steps like during the holds. You know, that can mess up your lift timing.
But
because,
still ended up with pretty good scores.
Right.
Yeah, the miss lift doesn't take off too much, so still okay.
Yep. I mean, especially if you're getting
Wow, 8.
8 perfects. Both just barely off of that 5-star.
Yeah, a lot of point loss there on those two lates for Yoko's side, but they were very close. 97.
Yep. All right, moving on to Far Out.
That start lineup was pretty good. Let's see how the loading times fare.
Yeah, I think somebody observed that the loading times can vary based even when you hit the button at the same time. It's just kind of random, so it's great that we have this fancy new technology to sync up the two cams.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to Desktop Man.
believe right after the stop, we saw a 6-point difference between players.
Uh-oh, misses. Nope, now there's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, with the syncopation and the
Oh, we got some
Jumps.
misses going back the other way, though. Whoa.
Yep, this is definitely a little bit more of a tricky type of chart. You got more stuff going on at faster speeds. I think, is this the fastest song in the set? Can't remember what's the first song.
I feel like
Bass and
Hyper
melody?
Hyper might be slightly faster.
I think Hyper goes 157. I think this goes 160.
Ever so slightly faster.
Yeah, they're both pretty fast, but this is definitely faster than Moonstone, unquestionably. So, transitioning from one song to the other can throw off your groove if you're not ready for the speed.
Yeah, it has the speeds on the list when they're...
Oh right, yeah.
Joko
And it
had
shows
a
everything.
very clean run there with 19.
Yeah, see, it says far out 183.
183.
Duckfeed is picking up the misses there is a little
Wait,
rough. But
Or wait. Or no,
Oh,
where's
that's
it say?
that's the score.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess it doesn't say it on our thing we can see. But it said it on, like, the list of songs that they had to play.
Right, the card draw, yeah.
Yeah, that monitor over there is for live score feed, in case we need to reference counts afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I have it set up for the players in Blue Division currently. Alright,
Yeah,
back
but,
to Mondity.
Yeah, Dogfeed is definitely taking a bit of a hit on Far Out. Let's see if he can clean it up, keep it all,
Well,
keep himself
having
in
a
it.
rough performance on one song is not necessarily the end of the world. The way that these rounds are scored in the Gauntlet format is based on the overall ranking for a given song relative to other players. You are awarded a point value, and the sum of points, top two in the pool, move on. So if Dog Fetus has a strong run on other songs, that will patch it up, and then if other players have rough runs, then that's also in his favor as well. So it's not over till everyone's played and finished everything.
Right. Yeah, if you do terribly, terribly, terribly on one song, it doesn't really impact you that much. It's kind of like Mario Kart scoring,
Yes.
right? You know, first place gets 10 points, second place gets,
Grand Prix, if you
9
will, for
points or
another
whatever.
relatable term.
yeah. So if you're like, oh no, I'm like 10,000 points down, well, you'll probably get last place, but it's just on that one song. So if you get higher places on the other songs, then you can definitely make it up.
It looks like they're both having a lot easier time on this song, though.
Yep.
I think at a slower BPM, these players are more comfortable in their execution.
Mm-hmm. And they're pretty clean so far. Jocko with about 1,500 point lead, maybe about almost 2,000. And there we go, 99.
Very solid.
Dang.
An excellent full combo on Dog Fetus' side, too. Just one late.
Yep, and it was like fairly early in the song. For me, whenever I get like early or late, you know, right at the beginning of the song, you know, kind of like you gotta like focus back into the song. You gotta be like, okay, I can't let that mess me up. You know, you gotta tighten up your timing, and then you can be tight for like the whole rest of the song.
I'm
And then-
very interested to see how these two players perform on this chart now, which has an appreciable speed. As
Right.
we noted, it's about equivalent to Far Out in speed, 157 to 160, and doesn't really have much in the way of difficult pad transitions, but as we saw earlier, it's very streamy to begin with. Lots of
Right.
consistent eighth note stepping, so we'll see how confident these players are in their execution cross pad right at the very beginning.
Yep. Oh, and the upbeats. Right, the eighth note upbeats can also trip you up if you're not ready for that type of stepping. Ooh. Dogfeed is picking up a miss. But both players doing pretty well on these eighth note streams.
Yeah, both players get those mostly clean. Looks like Dogface picked up a miss right at the very end of that stream, but
Another miss.
got all the hard parts of it down.
Yeah. That's the thing, is picking up a miss in an easy part is the exact same point loss as picking up a miss in the hard parts.
I think the most important thing for like a long streamy segment is that the players are able to adjust if they start drifting early or late. Especially very dense patterns, you start drifting, you pick up multiple in a row, it can be very difficult to adjust. Both did pretty well. Alright, and getting those crossover transitions too.
Yep, those pad transitions always trip me up. Alright, coming into the end here. Fairly straightforward, just with some jacks. Alright.
Alright, that gold combo 97's a score to be very proud of.
Very,
Yeah.
very nice.
Alright, give it up for Team Norway.
Well, there's still one more member to go.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
Do we
know
know what
if he'll be going next.
division
Believe I
Desktop
have
Man is in?
He's in this one.
Oh, in Blue Division?
He
Oh.
has played like 7 full charts ever. So good luck, Desktop Man.
Alright, listen, I'm rooting for Desktop Man. He has a really great precision. He's got a lot of hex star ratings on hard, so
Yeah, I was watching him play. There was a lot of double stepping, but that's okay.
I mean, if you get it and it works, then your technique is valid. So
it'll be permissible.
looks like we
Okay,
got
I'm
Laura
tagging
going.
out. I'm ready.
All right.
Alright.
Everybody say bye to Issa.
Bye.
Thank you, Isa, for your commentary contribution.
All right, are we getting word back in? All right. I don't even know when I'm supposed to leave.
Yeah, I think one of you leaves.
Is it me? It could be me.
You need the schedule here.
Yeah, if the schedule's on the door, you gotta leave in order to see it.
Hello, chat.
Let's see here.
So I was just giving Miko some pointers on some patterning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're playing the seventh element, the full 17. There's like some cross-stage crossover turns that she didn't know what to do.
All right, looks like Laura's warming up, or Arul warming up on ignition starts, getting her 8th note runs going.
That's a good chart to warm up on. It's got a little bit of everything, including some of the stretchier patterning.
Ooh,
All right.
We got Miko on the other pad.
On
Player
Poco
two.
Loco.
I'm gonna check the schedule real quick.
Are you all? That's how it says it's pronounced in their player sheet. Are you all?
A rule.
R-U-O.
A rule.
Laura, okay.
Miko didn't fill out the player sheet, so we don't know. But Arul has been helping a lot with the TO things, getting scores entered, making sure people are playing the right.
Alright, I think after this division, I have a big block of commentary, and I'll be on for a long, long time. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break right now, just see how things are going on outside. You guys can hold down the fort, right?
Bye bye, Zom. Thanks.
We've got
for
it covered.
starting us out.
I'll catch you all in a bit.
I'll be with everyone for a little while longer. I am going to get off in about a half hour so I can warm up and prepare to play for my pool coming up in a little bit.
All right. So, the bass and the melody. You got to remember that when you're trying to find it in the list, it starts with a T, not a B.
The.
It is the word "the" is part of the song name, so that's why they are sorted like that.
Laura has actually been really on the grind with improving at the game and has put up some seriously impressive scores, especially on full mode too. So, very excited to see her perform here, and it looks
Starting off with the white combo. I'll see myself out.
Well, I'm not aware of Laura picking up any APCs, but she has managed some low perfect count scores. And
Yes, I believe she's at least got some 1 perfect flags.
yeah, lots of 99s as well, so very strong scores there. Not as familiar with Miko's play history, but she's also full comboing at the moment, just picked up an off judgment earlier.
Yeah, I don't think Miko plays too much like doubles in full mode.
Yeah, you can see from the player camera, there's a decent bit of double stepping there for that transition.
She does look very comfortable reading the notes and moving to hit them. Just maybe not in the most optimal way.
Yeah, I also noticed Laura was double stepping as well. Looked to be more like jumps to move on the pad, but still timing very well.
She also plays with Jelly Slosh, so she's influenced by reading at a fairly high speed.
And also has access to some incredible full mode coaching as a result. Getting a chance to learn from one of the best in the business. And it shows there with that 12 perfect run. Very clean.
Yeah, very clean. And then Miko getting just the full combo, just with 1 late.
Yeah, just one off note at the beginning. Also noticing, looking at Laura's timing graph, a lot of those yellows are clustered around each other. You can see there's like 2 distinct clusters of 3 or so perfect notes, so her ability to maintain consistent timing is good. It can be a little unfortunate when you drift, and then it takes you a moment to drift back, because then you pick up multiple off judgments in a row, but being able to time consistently, even if it's slightly off at places, still a good consistent skill set to have. That's what you like to see.
So Moonstone, I just found out, was meant to be in ITG3 if it was ever going to be released. Did not know that. It just reminded me of one false move from ITG.
I think conceptually this game is kind of like
ITG4.
yeah. I was trying to do the math in my head for the precise number.
If you count Rebirth and Rebirth 2, that's 4 or 5, so this would be 6 maybe. Alright, yeah, so I was watching the Moonstone, the full 20. I think it's a 20. It's a pretty interesting chart. I think it's the most interesting chart for the song.
I'm trying to remember if the full 20 has the 30-second bursts in it, or if that's a feature of the Dual Plus
I don't
chart
think
only.
So.
But
Maybe that means in that case the Dual Plus is the most interesting chart.
mayhaps. But alas, we are not at that level yet with these divisions, so we got to see the full 15 first.
Alright. One of the slower songs in the game. I find that sometimes with the much slower songs, I have to lower my scroll speed as well to be able to read the patterns better on full mode. Just because the spacing between the notes gets so high because of the eighth notes are so far apart. So pretty much tied on score, a couple 100 points off. Players not seeming to have any problems with the lifts.
No, both players are locked in at the moment. They seem fairly comfortable on this one.
The lifts at the end of the holds are one of the hardest things for someone new to the game to learn. The timing is just way different than you're used to from any other experience you've had playing other games.
Yeah, owing that mostly to the physical act of lifting your foot is on a completely different feel than striking down, or which when you go to step, you have to lift your foot first, and so
Yes.
I usually find my advice for anyone who's learning to hit lifts better, it's always later than you think.
It's almost like, just think of it as a 16th note later than you think until you figure out what the timing really is. It seems to be almost an asynchronous timing window to where you get more leeway on the end of
Now-
it than before it.
It looks like Laura has the advantage here on this score with a 2-point difference. 98637 to 98635.
That is a very close score.
So that's
She had a couple of the almost, which is the exclamation yellow, or the yellow exclamation point. That means it was a missed lift.
yeah. So Miko had 1 missed lift. Laura had 2. 9 perfects to 18 though, which means Laura's yellow perfects were likely very far out from the absolute perfect line, if you will. And so the further out you are, the less those yellow perfects are worth. You can kind of think of it as like sub windows.
And I believe the lift notes, okay, I believe it's approximately the same as a miss for scoring. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, but you can think of it pretty much as a miss. So very big effect on score.
Yeah, that's where Laura's experience with timing for white perfect really comes in play. They're keeping that yellow count down. Eked out the 2-point lead.
This song is like one of the best. Pretty much tied again, just a couple 100 points. Oh, we're seeing right there at that stop, less than like 20-point difference.
20 points, yeah.
Okay, Miko picking up either an early or a late. I didn't notice which. And then a miss, broke the combo.
Yeah. Looks
So
specifically
did
to be
Rule there, broke a combo.
dropped hold on Miko's side specifically for the combo break.
Yeah, the full 15s is where you start getting into slightly more complicated patterning compared to anything lower rated than that. That's kind of where it really slowly starts to getting more complicated.
Laura hit the jump after that stop very well. It's kind of on an awkward offbeat to hit. Alright, coming into the end of the chart here, Miko's holding off a respectable lead, about 1,000 points. Alright, 95
All
to
right.
96.
Yeah, Miko pulling it out. Just a reminder, though, this is Gauntlet, so they're playing against all of the other players, not just against each other.
Yeah, once we are done with this round and we are waiting for our last 2 players in this division to get up, we will see what the current progress is for the Gauntlet scores.
Okay, Monady, you might recognize this song if you've heard. I've heard it in random advertisements, like on TV or what. It just seems to be one of those songs that's available for purchase that people just put in like ads and stuff and background music.
Yeah, I believe a good chunk of the Fat Rats music is readily licensed and available and quite popular. These songs have millions of plays on YouTube.
Okay, both players getting 1 white perfect and 1 yellow perfect in that early slow part. It's very interesting trying to time that part.
Yeah, and despite picking up another off judgment there, Laura's still keeping it very close coming into the main part of the song now.
About 300 points right now.
Still an exceptionally close game coming up to the midpoint now.
Yeah, within about 100 to 200 points right now. This one's another really slow song that you have to really lock in to keep that timing. Miko keeping up with her yellow perfect combo.
I think right at the end now, Laura's clawed out just an ever so slight lead.
Ooh, very close.
It came close. I think Laura picked up one or two more yellow perfects right at the very end that swung it back around, but I think for a split second there at the end, right before I started mentioning it, she was actually in the lead ever so slightly. But respectable performance, 98.5 from both players.
I believe Hyper. Yes, that's the next one.
Hyper. The last one in the set of 5.
Trying to remember if this lower full chart was added later, I believe, since this song was in the game when the game released. Okay. Yeah, no hands in this chart. Not like the full plus chart.
Yeah, we're not going to start seeing any potential for hands until I think level 19 is really where they begin in earnest in full mode. And I'm not even sure if we'll even see them in the leading stages. For those watching at home, we won't spoil the surprise for you, but every round's gauntlet charts have already been drawn, so we know what's coming.
So Arul is about 1,000 points ahead right now. A little over. About 2,000.
Yeah, absolutely locked in with hitting that white perfect window. She's been timing this whole song exceptionally well.
Miko tending towards the late perfect window. Gonna really start affecting her score. Both players holding on to their full combo. Hyper is just a really good song.
Yeah, Laura running away with a strong lead at the end there. 4,000 points for a 98.
Yeah, so we talked about how 15 is where different techs or different slightly harder patterns are starting to be introduced. The 17 is where, in my opinion, the 17 is kind of where things start to like really feel like you're really playing full mode. Like that's when things start to get to where you have to do things with the right patterns, use the right feet, and to not get lost.
And so right now, in terms of performance, we still have 2 more players to know the full. 2 more players need to play for us to get the full results for the Blue Division's Gauntlet. However, if we take a look now, currently, Laura's actually number 1 currently in the pool, with a pretty strong lead, I think, at the moment. And then we have Joko and Peter are currently the favorites to exit. However, we still have yet to see gameplay from Avi, aka Desktop Man, and Noir, so their performance can very well influence who does or does not get out of this pool.
Yeah.
But I do think I think
Albie-
it's
Albie's the other one that came in from Norway, so he will be playing next.
more representation for Team Norway.
They got sponsored to come here. I haven't learned exactly what the sponsor is, but it looks like on the back of their shirts they have their university logo and name and an esports, something with esports. Let's see. What information do we have? Albie is from Grimstad, Norway, which I learned is in like pretty far south. It's like almost as south as you can get in Norway.
We've got many strong supporters for Team Norway coming and showing their support here in Twitch chat.
The first properly sponsored team that might be. So Albie also put down in his player info sheet that he has reverse engineered Nintendo consoles in the Game Boy Advance, DS, GameCube, and Wii era as a hobby, and has a rhythm game arcade at the University of Agder with Step Maniacs, Jew Beat, Poppin' Music, and Reflect Beat.
That's a very cool collection of imported games. Yeah, we had mentioned earlier on the broadcast the accessibility of SMX has allowed it to grow more globally, but something like Reflect Beat is quite a fascinating choice. That's not a super common game in my understanding.
Yeah.
So, cool little selection out there. Nice little campus arcade they got going.
I recently played Jew Beat for the first time, and it's pretty fun. It's kind of like Re-Rave, which is a Step Revolution previous game. Similar-ish.
And for those of you who are joining us a little later, I made mention earlier that we have a score browser website we are using, and we also have some OCR tech in play, which synchronizes the camera feeds so you see the gameplay synchronized between the two players. It is Aubie's work for the synchronization, and he is also the maintainer for the score browser website, so those are very useful contributions to the competitive scene from him. So
Yeah, if you're interested to use the Step Maniacs OCR on your stream, there is a public GitHub available. Just join up in the Step Maniacs Discord. But it's really cool. It basically looks at your screen and it can tell what mode you're playing, what song you're playing. It looks like No Ear is either a no-show or a dropped out. So,
I'm not sure, but we're going ahead with...
Albie is just starting his set, and he will be just getting his scores so that way he can compete against all the other people in his division.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier he does not have a lot of experience with full mode, and I'm seeing a fair bit of wide double stepping there to keep track with things, but he is maintaining a combo, so a very good start.
I think I saw him look down at the pad for a second to see where he was stepping. He basically said that, if you're coming all this way to a tournament and there's open spots in a tournament, well, you might as well just join.
It's
Have fun. Get at least a few guaranteed songs to play.
Indeed, so long as you enter, you are guaranteed to play. You're sitting and spectating, it might be quite a while before you can get on that pad, along with everyone else who'd like to play.
It's a bit unfortunate that he's not playing against somebody, because some of the tournament mindset is playing against another person. It just kind of gets you in that mindset. But it can also be beneficial, I think, to play just by yourself, because then you can not worry about another person.
All right, putting up a solid 96. Aubie's got some good timing. It was pretty clean, just a little unfamiliarity with the actual pad transitions, bringing about some off judgments.
So Moonstone, let's see how he does. So right now for the blue division, we have Harul in first, Joko, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, in second, and Peter in third. Presently awaiting Albie. See what he scores.
I wonder how he will perform relative to the students.
Yeah, I would assume he would have slightly more experience with the game, since I believe it might be the only Step Maniacs in Norway. There's a few in Sweden that I know for sure, but I'm not sure if there's any more in Norway besides at that university.
Not certain myself, but
Yoko.
with
okay.
private access to the game. These players get a lot of practice that many people do not always afford to have. At the competitive level, you will see a lot of private owners and other people who invest a lot of time into playing the game where possible, but you don't have to own a cabinet to be insanely good at the game.
So-
Shoutouts to DDR Chad, #1 on Wild, plays at the public venue.
So Albie is basically learning how to do lifts right now.
In real time.
Doesn't seem like he has much, if any, experience with lifts. As we said it before, but if you hadn't heard or weren't listening or watching, lifts are very interesting to try to figure out when you're new to the game.
I'm also seeing now, having watched this chart many times, there's a lot of repetitive, like a jackhammer motion, just one foot going tap, 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 tap on the same arrow at once. You get a lot of very slow but still appreciable jackhammer patterns at the back half of that chart. The tap, 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 all with the same foot. You gotta have your timing on point for that, because if you drift later off, it can be very difficult to catch back on. Ditz has already played, yes. Ditz played in the first set for this gauntlet. Hobby is playing alone at the moment. I don't know where Noir is or if they have dropped, but we are coming up towards the end of our blue division. Going into the third song now, Far Out.
Far Out being one of the best songs. One of the best, like, at least 50 songs. There's so many good ones that eventually you just have to have a giant group of the best songs.
That was a really clean intro. Just one perfect and one little miss.
Looked like he just was a little unsure on his footing on what, like a down arrow, I believe. Just missed. Those patterns there where one foot's on one stage and one foot's on the other stage, those can be very difficult to figure out when you're not very experienced in starting out playing full mode. It gets easier over time. Just gotta keep doing it.
I think Albie's adjusted fairly well so far over the course of the set, figuring out some things. Granted, still picking up relatively frequent misses from unfamiliarity with footing, but his timing is very good, so his scores have been solid for someone who's very new to full mode. So it's a good foundation upon which to build upon.
I believe the stream had the audio coming from the cabinet that was not being played, but it should be good now. Alright, so 90,000 on that song. Unfortunately, not going to be placing too high for that song. I think it's Monady next.
Indeed. All rise for one of our esteemed YouTuber anthems.
Yeah, for sure. This song has had some interesting things with the charting. It had its original wild chart replaced, and then later on, when the hard plus charts started being added to the game, it had a hard plus chart added that was fairly similar to the original wild chart.
Yeah, I believe the syncopation is precisely the same, but the actual patterning is slightly tweaked.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little difficulty adjusting to some of those wide jumps. But
Yeah.
another low BPM song. It seems to be Desktop Man's forte for timing. He's pretty good at finding that white window and typically sticking within it. As I say that, he picks up a couple of late perfects in a row, but so it goes.
With those last two players, we could see them really just bouncing to keep their beat in between the red notes. And these slower songs, that's something that a lot of players do. They'll just kind of bounce to the beat. Some people also do what we call ghost stepping, which is stepping on the beat even if there's no notes or arrows to hit. It just helps you keep keep the beat and keep it in that synchronous window. Right.
All right, ekes out the 94. Solid run. So I do think it's kind of a fascinating trend we've seen so far with this pool, which is players who may not be as confident with their placement of their feet sometimes pick up misses from those cross-pad jumps or the like we see, but so far I feel like everyone has had a really consistent, solid hyper runs. The hardest chart in this pool by raw difficulty, and it seems like everyone just locks in. It's harder on that than everything else. So I'm curious to see now how Aubie does with this particular chart.
Oh, yes, the intro to this is a lot of offbeat eighth notes, those blue notes. They're not on the downbeat, they're on the in between the downbeats, so it'd be called
Very
the upbeat.
regularly glancing down at his feet to confirm position.
Yeah, this one has a lot of like constant eighth notes like right now. Where if you're not familiar too well with the doubles mode, the full mode, it can be really easy to get onto the wrong foot or hitting the wrong arrows and not really realize what you're doing wrong.
Yet for that introductory pattern, he followed it fairly well. Picked up a couple of misses, but it was more on like a consistent drill segment rather than a cross-pad transition. Very strong showing to start.
Yep, he's looking down a lot. It's what you kind of got to do when you're learning full mode, learning how to play the doubles modes. The Stepmaniac stages help a lot. The corners that are not used for the arrows, they are raised a little bit, so you can kind of feel the edges of them. And then the center panels are recessed slightly. So you have a lot of reference to feel through your feet where you're stepping without having to look down.
The crowd loves him. Did a little bow for the crowd. Lots of claps and cheers you can hear. That's a solid run. You picked up some pretty good scores for someone who does not have really any full experience, if you'd say. And so I'd say, for those of you who will be watching the VOD, those of you who played, those of you who are new to the game, you guys keep working at it. The more you play, the easier it gets. And doubles in this game, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was my main mode, full mode, for a long time.
So all of you who have been playing in Blue Division, all of you who are interested in playing more doubles, go for it. Stick with it. You might surprise yourself. All right, so that concludes our Blue Division pool, and I believe we will be seeing Laura, Yoko, and Peter advancing.